in. You could hear Rin banging on the door, pleading with you to open your door, but you didn't have it. In a moment like this, you might call Aoi or Hikari, but if Rin and Hikari could keep your relationship with Todoroki a secret, what could Aoi and Hikari keep from you? Wait, then it hit you. Was Rin the one who told Katsuki about you and Todoroki? Did he accidentally spill the beans? Was he snuggling up to Katsuki, pulling him closer by his shirt when Katsuki asked the wrong question? Did he mumble in just the right amount of information? The odds were close to 100, and this just made it all the more harder to hear Rin's voice outside the door. You grabbed your phone and headphones, shoved them on, and you scrolled until you found a song you liked. It annoyed you a little more, though. Even if it is or used to be one of your favorites, you had listened to it as much before Katsuki had found out you had been hanging out with Todoroki behind his back, before Todoroki and you had fought. Now, it was just a cruel reminder of what used to be. You couldn't wait for school to come tomorrow. You had to get out of this house now. Being in it, you felt dirty, cheated, lied to, and what's more, like a loser. You couldn't be happy for Rin and Katsuki. You don't know if you ever wanted to be. You couldn't call up Aoi, who probably was getting the talk about how his treatments would go, maybe even prepping for them. And Hikari was definitely no good, seeing as he might have known all along what Rin and Katsuki were up to. Your face tightened the more you thought about everything. You needed to breathe fresh air, without all this drama suffocating you. You grabbed your pair of inside shoes, unlatched your window, and steadily climbed down, doing your best to avoid making noise. Your phone was shoved deep inside your pocket. Thankfully, your pocket did its job because your phone didn't fall out. Bunch of liars. You spat, watching your front door from the outside. Then you shoved on your indoor shoes and ran toward the train station. You rode the train until your vision looking out the window got blurry, rubbing your eyes at every stop you came to just so you could watch the beautiful cherry blossoms fall when the train rode by the next trees in the bloom. The moon matched the night like a bride matched a groom. It gave the illusion of a starry night, just like Van Gogh's painting. You came to a stop at Musutafu station. Japan would usually be crowded at this time of night, but on a Wednesday night, most kids would probably be indoors by now. You took your sulking around the city, finding little shops that were still open, using Apple Pay to buy snacks and tiny souvenirs. You bought a pair of cheap headphones because you'd left yours at home and you really felt like listening to some music right about now. Truth be told, you had never been to Musutafu. It was one of the few cities your family had never vacationed at. It was only 9:30, and you still didn't feel like going home. You checked your account, and you still had more than enough to get home, what with your savings and all. You also noticed the many messages your mom had messaged you. You guessed they had pushed past your dresser and hadn't found you in there. There were a ton of messages from your dad, 2 from Rin, which had a sad apology paragraph written. There was even one from Hikari, which didn't contain direct evidence that he knew anything other than you were missing, but you weren't having any of it regardless of that fact. Besides, there was still no word from your brother, which is the person you really wanted an apology from. You grit your teeth and shove your phone back into your front pocket, ignoring every single message. By now, you doubt Aoi knew anything. You really wanted to talk to someone, but you didn't want to get the one person that probably knows nothing about everything involved. You just couldn't put him in the middle of this. Your breathing was getting agitated and reckless. You sat down on a bench and tried to control your breathing. There were many things similar about you and your dad. Your calmness, for one, and not being able to control your quirk when you were not calm. This is another reason why you want to train at UA. The teachers there could definitely help with your situation. Your dad might have been fine with staying calm all the time, But you are not, and you didn't want it to control your life. Being calm is a good weapon to have in battle. In fact, it's a very rare one to have. However, always being calm isn't human. Emotions are what make humans human. Your dad might not show it often, but when he gets angry, everybody knows it. And to stay away from him because of his quirk, it would melt through anything if he flicked his hand the wrong way. His sweat would melt skin in an instant. Your quirk, however, can manipulate the acid in a person's stomach. It may not seem like much, but have you ever thrown up acid from your own stomach? Do you want to know why it's supposed to stay in your stomach? That's because your stomach protects itself from being digested by its own enzymes, or burnt by the corrosive hydrochloric acid, by secreting sticky, neutralizing mucus that clings to the stomach walls. If that liquid, which is considered stomach acid, comes up through your throat, well, the rest of your body isn't exactly built to hold stomach acid, meaning it can be pretty painful and leave a horrid taste in your mouth. The correct term is acid reflux. You remember doing your research about the things you could do with your quirk. However, you also remember the time you tried it out on your family members. Sometimes it wasn't on purpose. Just when you got really angry or scared or really excited. Gastroesophageal reflux is the name of your quirk. You've always hated the name, but thought the idea of controlling a person's stomach acid was pretty cool. When it flows into the esophagus where it doesn't belong, over time, that acid can cause damage, irritation, and symptoms will get progressively worse. Meaning, if you don't know how to use it, you could accidentally kill a person. Your head was pounding. You gripped your phone as you let Katsuki's call ring. You glared at it and felt like crushing his neck, but then you took a breath, feeling serene bliss for a few seconds. But the call just kept ringing, and for some reason you couldn't keep your cool. Piss off! You threw your phone, but it landed on the ice. What? Ice? You thought? In this time of spring? You looked troubled. You gasped, turning around in shock at the closeness of someone's voice. For how long had they been standing there? What made it worse was the fact that Katsuki's call was still ringing in the background. It not only made your cheeks flare up with embarrassment, but also calmed you down to know that the person who had been watching you was Todoroki. If it had been anyone else, you might have drained all the acid in their stomach within seconds of them speaking to you. However, a murder record did not look good on a student application to you. So, what's wrong? The ice your phone landed on slithered back over to you. Thanks. You looked away, taking your phone from the ice cube thing Todoroki had spawned. It melted when he touched it with his left hand. You noticed this and wondered if the teachers at UA had helped him master his left side as well as his right. You knew the real reason Todoroki hadn't used his left side before, but you also knew he truly didn't have a single grasp on how to use it either. Todoroki stood there, then, seeing as you didn't feel like talking, sighed and sat down beside you. You sat there, feeling not uncomfortable, but tired. Just tired of everything and everyone. You snuck a glimpse at Todoroki. Okay, maybe not everyone, but you didn't feel like talking. That was something not even Todoroki could get you to do. So you two just sat there in the quiet night of Musutafu, listening to the sound of cars drive by every now and then. You didn't notice when, but sometime you must have fallen asleep, because you woke up in a random room with random traditional-style Japanese walls. Where in the hell were you? You freaked out, trying to recall everything from last night with total detail, but all you could remember was a voice. You don't know whose it was or what it said, but that didn't matter. You had to get home, and oh, right. A knock sounded on the door, and a woman stepped inside. Are you up? I just finished breakfast. Come eat. Something about her seemed familiar. Oh, right. You thought. Her hair, it looked like... Shoto, your friend is awake. Oh, is he? Todoroki's eyes met yours. the sleepiness under his eyes that told you he hadn't slept a wink last night, the quietness of his voice that probably meant he had explained himself to death about who you were and why he was with you. And hold on, wait a minute, where were you? Todoroki. Don't be modest, you can call him Shoto. I mean, all of us here go by Todoroki, and you're obviously close with my brother for him to want to be comfortable with taking you home. You're also the first friend Baby Sho has ever brought home, so don't be shy. Fuyumi, that's enough, you're scaring the kid. Oh, this is not so. He's my other little brother. You nodded, rubbing your eyes. Todoroki motioned for you to sit next to him, so you did. Todoroki's sister went to get you a plate, while Todoroki's brother, you're calling them Todoroki this and that, right? You glanced at Todoroki nervously. Well, it's fine. Just call me Shoto. As Fuyumi said, that's not so. And the other one still sleeping is a good-for-nothing, not deserving of the title father family killer. Honestly, it's a good thing he's asleep. He'd just get germs on you anyway. The fact that Shoto could say those things about his father so easily was kind of scary. But all the same, it made you happy he agreed to drop the subject last night. Which reminded you. Hey, Shoto? You bit your lip, the name sounding a bit unfamiliar coming from you. He looked at you. Yawain? You looked away, avoiding his eyes. So, you're not mad at me anymore? Shoto took a long, hard look at you, then smiled. I was never mad at you. He looked at his plate of shogayaki. To tell you the truth, I was just a little annoyed at your obliviousness. You gasped. My obliviousness? He scratched the temple of his left cheek with his forefinger. But it's alright now because I understand you better. What? Your face was as confused as ever when Fuyumi came back in the room and set a plate with rice down in front of you. You thanked her, then turned to Todoroki and thanked him for bringing you here last night, silently thanking his father for letting you stay here unannounced, then proceeded to eat. Todoroki was hiding something. He knew he would tell you on the way back to your house, even though he should be heading to school. He couldn't let you go without knowing how he knew where you were. It might have all just been coincidence that he decided to come home because Fuyumi had made some snacks for him that day, but he was glad that he ignored the fact that he was going to have to encounter his father because he got to see you.